What up, what up, what up? It is your girl, Sinead Artist, author of This Is Not My Life. And today we are going to be I am starting my fearLESS Fridays episodes, segments, posts, live videos, whatever it is that you want to call it. But we are starting that today as I launch the sneak peek into my new book, This Is Not My Life, 10 Steps to Overcoming Fear and Adversity. Good morning, everybody that's joining me. And I'm super excited. Before I get into what I want to talk to you guys about today, which is the hardest part of writing my book, I do just want to thank everyone that has been downloading their free sneak peek into my book. Everybody that has been sharing it. Everybody that has been emailing me saying congratulations. And, everybody that just has been over all of my platforms just sharing their excitement with me and congratulating me and supporting me in this journey. I appreciate it. And I don't take it for granted that you guys would do that. So I just want to let you know, I see all the posts, even if I don't specifically say thank you to each and every one because it's so many. I see you, I thank you, I love y'all, and I cannot wait for you to actually get the whole book in your hands because I'm telling you, this book is lit, okay? And I'm not just saying that because it's mine. I promise you, this book is lit because God has truly given me something to share with those that are in need. And I can identify with those needs. So thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure you share this video. Make sure you share, because the sneak peek link is in here and I want everybody to have an opportunity to catch it. Or to read it before they get the actual book, just to kind of, wet their tongues a little bit. So make sure you share this video out with your friends and everything, and let them know that I'm here and this message is here and it's not going away, right? We are going to overcome fear. We are going to overcome whatever adversity comes our way because God has given us tools that we can use strategically to do that. And so I'm grateful that He has blessed me with an opportunity to share with you how. All right. So like I said, if you've gotten a sneak peek of my book already, or if you just have questions about the book, about me, about the topic, overcoming fear and adversity, I was telling people the other day that they can send me an inbox or email me any questions that you have, and I will answer them live on one of these videos. So one of the questions that I got was, what was the hardest chapter or the hardest part of writing this book? To be honest, there was no hard chapter of writing this book. Everything that I wrote, like I said, it came from my journal. So I was really writing from my heart as I was writing this book. So there was no topic there wasn't a specific chapter that was hard to write. But the hardest part of writing the book was honestly having a conversation with my mother. And the reason being is because although this is my story, a lot of times when you are sharing your story, your truth, your personal experience, especially if it's something that's hurtful and something that is traumatic or something that really impacts you in a negative way or in a difficult way, you are inadvertently, in some capacity, telling a part of someone else's story. And going into this process with my publisher, Sean B. Ellis, love her life. So if you are writing a book, check her out. I've been knowing her for over 2 years and I have always loved her. I want you guys to work with her because she's bomb, but I really don't want you to work with her because I want her all to myself. I'm not even gonna lie. But when I was talking to her about this book, when we first started the conversation, I let her know that I knew that I was going to have a conversation with my mother. And the reason why it was so hard is because we have not always had a good, healthy, tight-knit relationship. And once I started to write this book, our relationship was in a better, I had already started writing the book, but once I started getting serious about publishing the book, our relationship was in a good place. And I was afraid that telling my story would cause a rift in my family or make her not want to be bothered with me or something like that. So I was afraid of that. That was the hardest part. So as I was writing, I just kept telling myself, you know what, I'm going to write anyway, and I'm going to work. We're going to figure this thing out later. I'm not going to have the conversation in the middle of the process because I know if I do, I might not, if she's upset, I might get discouraged and just say I'm not going to write it. So I made a decision that I was still going to write the book throughout the process regardless. And at the end, I would have the conversation. Well, I wound up going to New York, surprising her and visiting her for spring break, her and my nephews and my sister. And we had a really good time. I mean, it was just a really good time. I had a good time with my family. And it was a long time coming. And so when I got back home, I remember as clear as day, it was like, I was sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? You know, because I want to write this book and I want to share my story, but I don't want to cause a problem. And maybe I should just change some of the stuff that I'm saying because I don't want to offend anybody. And I prayed about it. In that moment, I prayed about it, and I emailed Sean, and I said, Sean, I don't know, but I think I need to change some of this stuff. I don't know that I should be saying all of this. And that night, I went to bed, and I woke up in the morning as clear as day. Before my whole brain was even awake, I heard the Holy Spirit say, don't change anything. And it was like if he was sitting on my bed, he was said, don't change anything. It was so clear, firm, and just very to the point. Don't change anything. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, God, don't change anything. What do I do? You know, and a little while later, Sean had emailed me back and she said some stuff, but then towards the end of her message, she asked me a question and she said, what story are you telling yourself? And that thing hit me like a ton of bricks because I didn't even realize that I was telling myself a story about having a conversation with my mom and that I had already created this vision of what was going to happen when I told her about this book. And so that caused me to really stop and think for a few minutes, like, all right, what story am I telling myself that has me so afraid to have this conversation? And I realized that I created this whole visual in my head about how I was going to tell her, she was going to tell me off, then she was going to cut me off, and then I was just going to be out here, just me and my daughter with no immediate family. Like, that's literally the picture that I had in my head. And so once she said that, I thought about that. I just prayed again, and I was like, you know what, God, you told me to write this book. I know that you are going to make a way for us to, you know, for me to share with her what I'm doing. You just prepare her heart, Lord, to receive what I'm writing and help her to know it's not about her or negative against her or anything like that. And I just really started to intentionally pray for her heart, and for him to create the space for me to have the conversation with her. And just that our relationship would stay good and continue to move forward. And so it was maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, maybe less than that. We were on the phone. Me and my mom were on the phone. And I don't know, I just felt like it was the right time. The book was finished. The book was done writing. All we were doing was editing it at that time. So we got on the phone and we were just talking and, you know, whatever. And it just came a point where, hey, Inez, it just came a point in that conversation where I felt in my spirit, say it, tell her, you know? So I said, you know, Mom, I got to tell you something. And she was like, all right, what you got to tell me? And I told her about the book and, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And to my surprise, she was very supportive. Very supportive. You know, I'm proud of you. I know that this is going to help other people. Let them know that what they're experiencing is not just for them, that they're not crazy. And it's like she was saying to me all the things that I prayed for the book to be. She was repeating that back to me. And that thing, even now, I get chills thinking about it because I know that that's God. I know that that's Him healing me and helping me to just be able to have that conversation, but also healing and restoring our relationship where she can support me and she can say, I'm proud of you and all of that kind of stuff. And it doesn't cause a rift in our relationship. So we actually prayed together about the book. She prayed for me and the book. And I mean, that thing was so, it touched my heart so much because that just let me know, like, God, you are in this. You did tell me to write this book, even though I knew it. That was confirmation. Lord, this is not going to be something that tears my family apart or causes us to be even more distant from each other. But this is really something that you are using to restore not just my life, but I believe the lives of the readers. You are using this book to restore people and relationships and thought processes and lives and hearts and families and all of that. And so that situation was the hardest part of writing this book. And once I got over that, once I got past that, everything else is cake. Everything else is cake. So before I get off, I just want to tell you guys, for anybody that's out there looking to move forward in something that God has told them to do, right? Because a lot of times when God gives us a mission, right, it's not something that we feel we can do. We feel like, oh my God, how is this going to happen? So I have just a couple of tips that I'm going to share with you. And then I'm going to get off because I know I lose focus after about 6 minutes. I'm done. But what did I do to be able to move forward in this vision that God had gave me? Well, I prayed about it through every step of the process. I continually prayed for the book. I prayed for the people that were going to read the book. I prayed for my mom, my family. I prayed for myself. Continuously praying and just asking that God would have his hand in every part of the process. I pray for my publisher that he would give her wisdom to speak to me about the process for the book. When I thought about the thing with my mom and being afraid to share with her, I made a decision that I was going to write the book first. I was going to get all of my stuff out on the table, and then I would talk to her after I had it all out, because I knew that if I had it all out and something came up and she didn't receive it well, I knew that I still had to be obedient to God. That's my mom, yes, and I love her to life, but I knew I still had to be obedient to God in order to be in his will for my life. So I needed to make sure that the book was written before I had the conversation. I need to make sure that I was firm in what I was doing, because people are not always going to receive what it is that God is telling you to do. They're not always going to want you to do it. So you have to set yourself up to be prepared to do it in spite of, because you want to obey what God is telling you to do. And just keeping myself in a position where I was talking about it with certain people, not everybody, certain people, then asking them to pray for me and just keep me lifted as I went through this process. So I just want to encourage anybody that is writing their story. Writing is a healing tool. It's therapy. It helps you get out those things that you may not be able to tell people, or you may not feel comfortable telling people. Write it out. Hey, Charlene, write it out. Get it on paper. Get it out your head, though. I will say that. And just be encouraged that if God has put it in your heart to write something, if he's put it in your heart to do something, be obedient to what it is that he's asking you to do. Okay? So I want to thank you guys for joining me this morning. I will see you guys next Friday at 8 a.m. With my next question. Again, if you guys have any questions about the book, about overcoming fear and adversity, about me and my story and my the sneak peek, if you grab the copy of that and you've read it, check it out. Email me, inbox me. Thank you for the likes. Inbox me, and I will be sure to answer your question on one of these lives. So I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great weekend. Bye.